Hey JJ, welcome back to Breakdown. Today is Thursday, February what? Second?
Third.
Third. February 3rd. Welcome to Breakdown. You ready to talk some SEC Big Ten sports?
Just like the Cincinnati Bengals, I was born ready.
Let's do this. Welcome back to Breakdown. JJ, basketball is in full gear in the Big Ten, the SEC, Illinois and Alabama leading the way for both conferences respectfully. We're going to talk some basketball.
Favorite sport.
So, JJ, what team has been trending upward since we last met?
Well, there's been a few teams trending upwards. In the SEC, the team that comes to mind would probably have to be those Wildcats from Kentucky.
Okay, okay. Kentucky, they are trending upward. They had a big win. Last week we talked about the SEC Big 12, and we talked about some key games in in the uh, in the Big 10. What conference? What team in the SEC and what team in the Big 12 had the biggest win last week?
Well, sticking with the SEC, I would have to stick with the Kentucky Wildcats. They have had a win that gave the SEC the edge over the Big 12 in the SEC Big 12 Challenge, 6-4.
Okay.
But more than that, they added to a potential 1 or 2 seed resume, which is very big for them because obviously Auburn is in pole position to get one of the 1 seeds. So if there can be multiple from the SEC, that's really beneficial for Kentucky. But more than that, they distanced themselves from the second winningest program of all time.
Kansas.
Yeah, who's now essentially 4 games behind Kentucky as it pertains to all-time wins. So
Okay. That's interesting. I'm not sure how important that is.
well, they did beat Kansas too.
Okay. The Kentucky Kansas win was a bigger win than the Alabama
Well,
Baylor.
it was not a bigger soul win, but as far as like who had like the best week,
Okay.
they had multiple wins. After that dynamic win Alabama had over Baylor, they followed it up with a almost 20-point loss to their arch rival. So
Yeah, and Alabama plays Kentucky this coming weekend.
they do the first of a couple of games between the
Yeah.
two.
So what Big Ten team had the biggest win?
Oh, easily Illinois. Illinois and Wisconsin were tied going into that game for first place,
Okay.
and now Illinois is alone in first place in the Big Ten.
How big was the Michigan State win over their arch rival?
That was a big win. That was a big win.
Okay.
But
Okay. But the Illinois was bigger.
well, yeah. I mean, it cemented them. So I mean, they beat a better team. Michigan is not close to as good as Wisconsin is this year. So Illinois has got that feather in their cap, and now outside of Purdue, they have wins over Michigan State and Wisconsin. Um, the second and the third place team.
Okay. They're a half game ahead of Michigan State right now. Next Tuesday, or this coming Tuesday, Purdue and Illinois hook up
For the second time,
at Purdue. Yeah, for the second time.
the rematch.
Uh, what you think about that game, really quickly?
That's must see TV.
Must see
That
TV.
is prime time. That's the two alpha dogs of the Big Ten. Um, at home, I gotta watch that one. What do you think about that game?
I'm looking forward to that game, big time too. I agree, it's must see TV. But on that same night, I don't know the times yet. Uh, Auburn has to go to Fayetteville, and that's a must see TV for me as well. So hopefully, I can see both of those games because if I had to pick a winner between the Auburn Arkansas game, guess who I'd pick?
The number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, but that number one team in the country hasn't played in Fayetteville this year, and I guess a team that's on a 7-game win streak. I think I would go with the home team in that one, but that's just me taking that. Okay.
The atmosphere in Bud Walton is unparalleled.
Okay. So you've given me the team with the biggest win in both conference. Let's talk coaches for a moment, JJ.
Yeah.
We're halfway through the conference schedule, basically. Uh, is there any coach on the hot seat?
Yeah, look at the bottom of the both conferences, and you will find two coaches on the hot seat.
So that would be if
Fred Hoiberg in Nebraska for the Big Ten.
How long has he been at Nebraska?
This is year 3.
And this is year 3 for Tom Crean at Georgia. Am I correct?
I think this is year 4.
4? Wow, time flies. You may be right. What about Mizzou? Is there a coach on the hot seat? They're 8-13 overall and 2-6 in the SEC.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I know Missouri fancies themselves like a basketball, not necessarily a powerhouse, but they do have expectations for their program. And he has, I mean, he got to an inauspicious start with Michael Porter Jr.'s unfortunate injury, and then his little brother's tore his ACL 2 times in a row, and he never got the injury help, and then transfers, and I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's going the way he or the Missouri fans predicted it when he was hired.
I would agree with you, but I do think he will get another year. And if he can improve things next year, we'll see what happens. But are those the only coaches you have on the hot seat? The 2 at the bottom? Are there any other?
I mean, Jerry Stackhouse at Vandy could be on the hot seat. I mean,
Vandy got a super recruiting class coming in next year.
Yeah, that I think is what will keep that at bay. But he hasn't made it to the NCAA tournament or even an NIT or anything like that. And I think they had higher expectations for that. But other than that, I would say nobody else in the SEC is on the hot seat.
Okay.
In the Big Ten, I mean, Danny Manning is an interim coach. I don't really see anybody else on the hot seat.
Okay.
Those coaches in his first year. Northwestern is Northwestern, so.
When we talk about hot, give me some hot players right now. Who would you say is on a roll? What players?
Well, there's quite a few in the Big Ten. Jaden Ivey had 21 points, 10 rebounds against Minnesota.
And he plays for?
He plays for Purdue.
Okay.
Hit
the game winner with a buzzer beater.
Yes, he did. But obviously, Kofi Cockburn against Wisconsin, he had 37 and 12. That is that's a statement performance if there ever was one. And he's a statement player, so that was a significant performance.
You mentioned him. Before you go on, JJ, I'm just going to, the matchup next Tuesday with the Bigs. How do you see that playing out? Just the Bigs, not the game, but just the Bigs.
I mean, Zach Edey is 7'2". I mean, you can't teach that. But Kofi Cockburn is, I mean, he's a little bit more physical, more physically developed, and I think he's gonna. I mean, I don't know. That should be a really intriguing matchup because I don't think Travion Graham or Zach Edey can really.
Hopefully, we'll be able to review that once it's done. But go on with your hot players. You said there were several. You've mentioned a few. You mentioned 2 already.
Yeah, I mean, Jabari Smith has been hot. He had 23 points last game. He had 17 against Alabama. For Auburn, he's the presumptive #1 pick in the NBA draft. Alabama has some hot players. Jaden Shackelford, Javon Quinterly, they both played well against Auburn and Baylor, respectively. But I would say Malik Hall against Michigan State actually has been.
Malik Hall, you called it. You said if they play him more, they would win. I really liked his play. Christie had a great game, especially in first half. The one name I haven't heard that I'm kind of surprised so far. Do you have more names to go, or do I need to bring up a name?
By all means.
JD
Nolte.
JD Nolte.
Yeah, he was big against West Virginia.
He's big every game.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the transfer portal, JJ? Are there any players in the transfer portal that has made your attention, reached your attention?
Guys who have entered the transfer portal this season?
Who are who are playing that came out of the transfer portal, and now they're playing with their team this year,
Okay.
and they have made some noise.
Okay, so JD Note will not be eligible since he had transferred the year
previous
prior.
year,
Okay.
correct.
Well, there's a few people. I mean, Minnesota's whole team is. I mean, you could say their whole team. Obviously, Walker Kessler from Auburn,
Yes, sir.
blocks leader. He's
Yes.
propelling the number one defense, the number one
He
team.
came from North Carolina to Auburn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oscar Schwebe, he's the front runner for Player of the Year from
Is
Kentucky.
he?
Yes, he's the betting favorite in Vegas right now to win the NCAA Player of the Year.
Would you pick him as Player of the Year?
I think there's a lot of time left.
Okay.
But I think he's certainly a candidate. He's a realistic candidate for sure.
Okay.
But Alfonso Plummer with Illinois, Tyson Walker with Michigan State. He's the
I
top
agree.
assist man. There's been more than a few, but there's been a lot with Kentucky. Obviously, Kellen Grady is shooting like I think 50% from three.
Well, Judge, I want to go back a little bit to a question I had asked earlier. I had asked about hot players, and I know Ohio State, what's his name? He had a decent game.
EJ Liddell.
EJ Liddell. But I haven't heard you mention Davis, Wisconsin.
He had 22 points against Illinois, but I mean they lost. So I mean,
We said players.
That's
we didn't
true.
Say team. We didn't
That's
say
true.
Team.
I mean, he leads them in points, rebounds, and steals, and I think maybe assists.
I thought of him when you mentioned Oscar Sheway as a contender for Player of the Year. What about Davis?
He's one of the contenders for sure. But I mean, his team losing games isn't going to help. I mean, Wisconsin was ranked number 11 at the time, so they were ranked a little higher than Kentucky. They were ranked 12th, but
Wisconsin is 17-4.
yeah,
Kentucky is 18-4.
it's true.
Not a great deal of difference, but I guess if you wear Kentucky on your uniform, you almost have a cape or something.
Well, Kentucky's doing better in conference. They only have one of their losses was to Duke at conference. So
Okay.
I don't know. I think that they played a tougher schedule as it pertains. I think they have more quality wins. They just beat Kansas.
Yeah. I'll get you that. I tell you, Kentucky. I said don't sleep on Kentucky, and Kentucky is a really good team. They remind me of a lot like Auburn, a lot. I mean, in that they got the positions covered pretty well. They can play some ball. Were you done with your transfer portal, or were there more?
Yeah, that was mostly it.
Okay. Well, JJ, I want to talk you as a spectator, viewer. What are some teams? What are two teams or a team from each conference that you enjoy watching play? And why?
Well, the two teams I'd like to watch the most in the Big Ten are Illinois and Purdue. I think they have the most talent. I think they have the most college talent, the most NBA talent. I think Illinois has a dynamic inside-outside game. I think you have Alfonso Plummer, Trent Frazier, Kofi Coburn, Andre Cabello. I just think you have a lot of dynamic players for Illinois, a lot of guys scoring over double digits.
Okay.
And I think you just have a high-flying team. And Purdue, I mean, they have Zach Edey, they have Jaden Ivey, they have Travion Williams. They have a lot of talent on their team as well.
So you like watching them?
Yeah.
Ivy, I mean, I'll just say Ivy has hit the game winner against Wisconsin, or was it Ohio State? I know he hit it against Wisconsin, but I think he hit it last year against someone. This is my thought with Purdue, and I may be wrong. Purdue has a really good team. I'm not sure they have that assassin when it's 4 seconds to go. And I know Ivy hit some winners at the buzzer, but I watched them almost give the game away last Sunday to Wisconsin. But we'll see how the Illinois Purdue game turns out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that assassin for Purdue might just end up being their senior in Travion Williams.
he's going to power it in, but will he hit the outside jumper?
I think he has that touch, and I think he can make the free throws too. So I think he's unafraid to take the last second shot on the inside if he needs to. But I think that's who I'd feel most comfortable. I mean, but also Jaden Ivey.
Well, JJ, I value your opinions when it comes to basketball because I think you're a step ahead of me in basketball. And I want to ask you, when you're watching a basketball game, what position do you focus on the most, and why?
Well, I would have to say that's probably the point guard because he has the ball in his hands the most. He has the most responsibility to orchestrate an offense, call out the plays, direct and conduct his teammates.
So, what do you want in a point guard?
I want someone that's a vocal leader. I want someone that leads by example. I want someone that can penetrate, that can score on all three levels, that can.
When you say all three levels, break that down. What do you mean by all three levels?
From behind the 3-point line, at the rim, and in the mid range.
Okay.
Chris Paul is dynamic in the mid range. Someone that can slither in between those gaps. If there's a 2-3 zone, and score there. Or someone that can get all the way to the rim.
So you're watching the point guard. Who are some key point guards in the SEC and the Big Ten right now?
Well, I would say that Illinois has their point guard back and their sophomore, Andre Curbelo. I think he's an important point guard. I think for Michigan State to reach its potential, Tyson Walker and AJ Hoggard, one of those guys is going to have to take a step and become more assertive on the offensive end and become a threat that other teams have to account for. Wisconsin's point guard, Brad Davidson, I mean, he plays a little point guard, a little off ball, but he's their floor general. He's like their either fifth or sixth year senior.
Okay.
He's averaging 16 points a game. Kentucky has Severe Wheeler, who's I think fourth in the nation in assists. Also, Ty Washington set the school record for most assists in the game. So, as a backup point guard, they have him as an option. Arkansas, I expect a little bit more from Devo Davis as the point guard, but JD Nolte gets to initiate a lot of the offense.
He does.
But Kennedy Chandler had a really good game the other night for Tennessee.
Okay, interesting. So when you watching a team, you analyze and evaluate, and you watching the point guard first. But JJ, the Big Ten is loaded, and I mean loaded with good big men. What are some skills that you like to see in a big man?
I like to see someone that knows where to be positionally on defense. He knows when to go for the block and when to just stay on the ground and box out and go for the rebound. I like that. I like a big man that has good footwork and can score with either hand in the post. Like Frank Kaminsky for Wisconsin back in the day. He had excellent footwork and he was like ambidextrous with his ability to score in the post. Like big men that can be physically dominant like Kofi Coburn and can assert their will.
Is he the best big man in the Big Ten?
For my money, I would say he is. Yeah.
Okay.
Who do you think is the best big man in the Big Ten?
I would go with him, but the Big Ten is loaded. I mean, I'm sure you like the guy from Michigan.
Hunter Dickinson's really good. He's good.
Yeah. I'm sure you like him.
Yeah, he's good.
Well, JJ, what one player in the Big Ten would you gladly give up your hard-earned dollars to watch play? And I said one. Don't name me two.
Okay, if I could just pick one, I would go with Andre Curbelo from Illinois.
Okay, interesting.
Who would you pick if you could pick one player?
That I would pay money to go see?
Yes.
In person? Front row seat, so close where I can trip a referee if I wanted to?
Mm-hmm.
I would go with what's the big man.
Kofi Coburn?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, we both went Illinois. We just went. I just went with the point guard, and you went with their best player. So
let's go SEC. What one player in the SEC, if you were sitting in the front row, like I say, so close you could trip a referee if you wanted to, who would you gladly give up your money to watch play in the SEC?
uh, the odds-on favorite to be picked number one in the NBA draft.
That's a logical. That's a logical pick. I asked you not to give me your second one in the Big Ten, but in the SEC, I want to hear your second one because the SEC, the number one, that's not fair. So give me your number two guy you pay the money to see in the SEC.
If not Jabari Smith, then I guess probably Oscar Suibe.
Yeah, yeah. No arguments there. No arguments there. JJ, before I ask you to give me your top four from each conference, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, who would you pick in SEC if you could pick?
Oh, I want to go with Jabari.
Okay.
And then my number two.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, man, I hate to agree with you on all points, but I'm finding that's the case. I would go with Sheway because he's setting some records this year. And I actually like watching big men play. I know you like the guards. I like watching the big man play. The guards too complicated, too confusing to me. The big man, give them the ball, let them do their thing. Just don't put it on the floor. But that's that. Okay, let's go to the top four.
Okay.
I forget. I'll grab a pen here so I can write this down. Let's start with the SEC. Number four in the SEC.
The fourth team in the SEC.
That you think is going to end the year four in the SEC. I know you were, last week you were saying you might change your fourth pick, but we're going to see. Number four.
I'll go with Tennessee.
Tennessee. Right now they're tied with Arkansas for 3.
Yeah.
So JJ going Tennessee. At the end of the year, he says Tennessee is going to be 4. Who's going to be 3 at the end of the year?
Arkansas.
Oh, I like that. Better than last week. Who's going to be 2?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Right now they're 2 games behind Auburn. Auburn got to play Arkansas next week.
Auburn doesn't have to play Kentucky.
I'm just saying they might be just 1 game behind Auburn at the end of next week.
Well, Auburn beat Kentucky head to head.
Okay, so you're going with 3, with 2 you're going Kentucky.
Yeah.
And with 1, I can't imagine who that would be.
I think you can imagine who that would be.
Auburn. Okay, so Auburn, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee. JJ, while we're on the SEC real quick, I know it's still early and there's a lot of basketball to play and a lot of things going to happen, but how many teams do you see right now in the SEC getting in the dance?
Maybe 8 or 9.
That many?
Yeah, I would say about that.
The most I could see would be 8. And that's Alabama. Alabama, though, they play in Kentucky this weekend. After the Kentucky game, they got to start winning.
Yeah, no, Alabama has a resume. Like they have,
To win.
they've won 3 games over the Ken Palm top 5.
Yeah.
So they're gonna make it. That's not an issue. It's just about seeding.
Well, if they play like they did that one stretch, they were playing really, really poor to me.
I mean, they beat Gonzaga, Houston, and Baylor.
Yeah, but I'm talking about different.
Gonzaga, Houston, and Baylor could be all be 1 seeds.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
And
Okay,
Alabama
Jay.
has wins over it.
That's it. Auburn. I asked you this last time. They were 8-0 in the conference last time I asked. Now they're 9-0. They don't have to play Kentucky. They got 9 more conference games to go. Will they lose a game in the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they absolutely could lose a game.
So you agree that Arkansas is going to beat them next Tuesday?
I would love for that to be the case. But they'll be favored in every game that they play against. But I think the odds are more likely that they slip up against one of them.
Okay. Let's go to the Big Ten.
Okay.
Your home area. Right now, Illinois is 1, Michigan State is 2, Purdue is 3, tied with Wisconsin for 3, and Ohio State is 5th. Give me your top 4, starting with number 4.
Wisconsin is 4th.
So you're gonna stay with Wisconsin.
Yep.
Okay. Give me number 3.
Michigan State.
My Spartans, MSU. And number 2.
Purdue.
You ain't changing nothing from last week. And number 1.
No reason to. Illinois.
Okay, JJ, really quick before I ask you more about Illinois. Michigan is 5-4 in the Big Ten. Had that bad loss against Michigan, not a bad loss, but a loss against Michigan State last weekend. Overall, they're 11-8. They play Michigan State again. I think it's March 2nd. They rescheduled it either March 2nd or March 1st. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
Michigan is 11-8. They need to win some games as well. Will they make the dance?
Yeah, more than likely, I would say so.
Okay, how many teams in the Big Ten will make the dance? And I know it's early. It's going to be a lot of changes. Okay, I'll buy that. Let's go back to Illinois, Purdue.
Okay.
2 teams I really am high on. I mean, not only in the Big Ten, but nationally. I think they're really good. Purdue scares me with their lack, in my mind, of an assassin. But you got Illinois. You consistently picking Illinois.
Absolutely.
If Illinois was playing Auburn tomorrow, how would you pick that game?
I would like that matchup a lot. I mean, Trent Frazier. I don't know. They don't have anyone to match up with Jabari Smith. That's the thing. Like that's Auburn's X factor. Is they don't have anybody for him. Now Walker Kessler, as dominant as he is, Kofi Coburn. I like that matchup. I like him against pretty much anybody.
If they were playing on a neutral site, who win?
I mean, I think the favorite would have to be Auburn, but I would like Illinois' chances. I would give them more than a puncher's chance.
Okay. Well, you've answered all of my basketball questions. I'm gonna visit Who Dey Nation for a quick second before we get out of here. There's still another week before the Super Bowl, but I just want to congratulate Cincinnati in their win when they went to went to Kansas City. Went to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs there. Their next game, they got to go to LA and beat LA. What you want to say about your team before we get out of here?
Never doubted them.
Never doubted them for a minute.
Never for a minute.
You heard it just like me in Arkansas. Hey, come back and watch us next week. Stay warm out there. It's bitterly cold. Snow. 14 inches of snow the other day. But we out of here. Peace. WPS. We'll pick Suey.
Who that?